My Hero Academia Chapter 409 is finally out, and with it comes the highly anticipated ultimate battle between Lord Explosion Murder God Dynamite and the King of Villainy himself. That's right, it's officially Bakugo versus All For One. And let's just say these two warriors go at it. I'm talking no holds barred, somebody's gonna die. But before we begin, don't forget to Detroit smash the subscribe button to keep update with all the Lunchtime Crew / My Hero content. And so without further ado, let's jump right into My Hero Academia Chapter 409 titled Quirk Explosion. This chapter opens up surprisingly with another flashback. However, this one reverts back to one of the most vital moments of the entirety of the My Hero story, the birth of Katsuki Bakugo. With us seeing Bakugo being born, the happiness on his mother's face, and the tears of joy on his father's, the story then begins to flash through moments of Bakugo's life, specifically 3 moments in particular. The first being when he told Midoriya he would get stronger after their second fight, the second being a time when he declared that his quirk is strong, and finally, the third being when he bullied Midoriya all the way back in Chapter 1. Oh boy, how the times have changed. And speaking of change, with this, the story cuts right back to the present, picking up exactly where the last chapter left off, with Bakugo flying in the air, looking directly at the approaching vile monstrosity that is All For One. As Bakugo awaits this impending monster, with the previously mentioned moments of his life flashing through his mind, with the exception of his birth of course, cause that would have been weird, taking this brief moment of peace, Bakugo thinks to himself, Izuku, I won't mess with you anymore. And with this thought, the final showdown officially begins, as All For One launches his attack, propelling himself at Bakugo and across the city, obliterating absolutely everything in his path. Yet, as All For One begins to pick up momentum, Bakugo, not moving a single inch, shouts out the word burst, causing All For One's entire head to explode, forcing the villain downward, destroying all of his built up momentum. And I mean, his head just fucking exploded. Really shows how much damage Bakugo could do when he's not holding back. All For One, now slammed into the ground, regenerates his head in confusion, unable to understand how Bakugo could attack him without even moving. But Bakugo, who is now flying in at the stationary All For One, happily explains that this wasn't some miracle, but a premeditated attack. Since the rain messes with Bakugo's quirk, making it harder for him to produce pure explosive sweat drops, he decided to use this mixture of less concentrated sweat to his advantage, by throwing these drops into All For One's mouth during his attack at the end of Chapter 406. And because these weren't pure drops, All For One didn't realize they were explosive, and so Bakugo waited for the perfect moment to ignite them inside the Mad Titan, which either means that Bakugo can now ignite his sweat regardless of how far away it is from his body, which is a crazy buff, or he is insanely smart and managed to calculate the exact time he would need them to explode at before mixing them. And to be honest, I'm not sure which is more impressive. But All For One seems to think that regardless of whichever option is true, the most impressive thing is Bakugo's intelligence, as he comments how he can't believe he's been outsmarted by the hero. To which Bakugo responds by stating that he's always been clever, and he doesn't need a lot of quirks to win this fight. His quirk Explosion is more than enough. All For One, realizing that the explosion has messed with his trajectory and plan entirely, becomes full of unyielding fury. And as his face gruesomely regenerates back and he prepares one more time to launch, he screams out at Bakugo, "This is my story, you side character." Ooh, you shouldn't have said that to the king. And what follows this are multiple double-page spreads in which we see both Bakugo and All For One battling out and fighting for their lives, with Bakugo unleashing a howitzer impact followed by an ungodly amount of explosions as he screams back, "Shut up!" and All For One furiously and relentlessly regenerating and trying his best to hit the hero with everything he has got. It's truly a thing of beauty. It's during this explosive battle that All For One realizes that not all of his quirks are working as they should be, and it's not because he's being hit by an unfathomable amount of explosions. The thought then occurs to All For One, is it because my body has become too small and fragile? But it is then that the truth is revealed, as inside the vestige world, a now very young child All For One encounters the Quirk vestige of Hawks with a group of other people. Hawks' vestige, with that shit-eating smirk on his face, happily explains to All For One that in his anger he lost control of the vestiges and the quirks within him. This allowed Hawks' vestige to gather up all the other uncontrolled vestiges and encourage them to fight back against their captor. Looks like even the vestige world loves Hawks. Hawks then ends his final taunt to All For One, stating, at the end of the day, Shigaraki led to your downfall. Back over in the real world, All Might, watching Bakugo go toe-to-toe with the monster before him, comments how the physical and mental damage that everyone caused on All For One throughout this war has finally paid off. Bakugo then connects an attack directly on All For One's face and unleashes a devastating explosion while shouting, "This is our story." The fight then continues until finally Bakugo lands one massive explosion on the villain. And as Bakugo's parents, All Might and Yoichi, look on at Bakugo, he flies bloodied, battered, and bruised, but still smiling above the now devastated and returned to normal body of All For One. As he states, "I'd never have been able to defeat you all by myself." And that's it for chapter 409. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like. For more content like this, subscribe to the Lunchtime crew. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. It's lunchtime.